Okie dokie. Philodendron Pink Princess. Ooh, yeah, all right. I just found that, which is unfortunate. So there's a couple of things I want to do with this. Recently, I put some of the cuttings off this on a moss pole. Let me go get it. There it is. It's not going too bad. Look, there are of course a couple of places like this that aren't going very great. That is one of the things that we want to have a look at today. So I'm going to get myself ready and we're going to do a couple of things to this. And we're also going to do a couple of things to this. But I thought I've had such a great response from people on social media about this particular plant. So I thought we could follow its journey over the last year from when it started and it looked pretty amazing to where it is now, which it has looked better, but we're not going to give up on it. So while I set myself up, let me show you a few photos of what the Pink Princess looked like when I first got it. Pretty good, huh? We'll get to what the plant looked like when I repotted it into the grow cage that it's in right now. But just before we do that, I've got some cling wrap here, and the whole idea is this little cutting over here didn't actually make it into the soil. I was hoping that these aerial roots would attach into this sphagnum moss in the moss pole, but it's not really working out as best as I thought. So what we're gonna do is we need some Glad wrap, and I'm just gonna wrap it around parts of this plant to try and trap in as much of that moisture as possible. So while I do this, why don't I also show you footage I have of me repotting the Pink Princess from when it was in a cocoa coir hanging pot going into the grow cage that it's in now, this one over here. If you've been following me on social media, you might see some familiar pieces of footage. And if you want to go and find those, it'll be on TikTok, Instagram, and probably deep on Facebook. But anyway, let me get to this and I'll show you this video. Roll the clip. Oh, okay. I've been looking forward to this for a while because this thing's just growing crazy. Like check out that. Check out this stuff up here. And then there's this one as well. And then there's this half moon one over here. So it's going really great. But the thing is, so it's in a coir hanging pot. But then I've got one coir pole here, another one here, and then there's even another one down here. Like, what's that doing? Also, I feel like it dries out quite a bit, and it just could be doing a lot better if we give it a pot with some good medium and a climbing trellis. So, I'm just gonna lay that down over here. So, I got these two tomato cage, big pot. Let's do this. It's just been steadily growing in my space. It's been going really well, but I got this for 80 bucks, would you believe? There's so many chances to propagate this as well. Like there's so many spaces from which one could propagate, but I don't want to do it just yet. I just want to get it settled into a new home. And then once it's settled in, then we can chop. Cool. There's one coir pole. I don't understand how they've put all this together. That's cute. Tiny little coir pole. That's coir pole number 2. Yeah, it's a really weird, it's like a bendy one, I think. Anyway, 3 coir poles, great. I actually don't really know what to do here. Might put it all on the ground. I do enjoy these really big projects. Maybe let's get it out of the cage. Like there's all this coir. What is that? Knew there was a huge spider in there. Knew there was a huge spider in there. This is a mess. Oh, there's cable ties holding everything in place and just rip all that apart. So unfortunately this coir hanging basket, knew there was another big one. He's a huge one too. Dang. Oh, go. Oh, go. I knew there were big spiders in this one. I don't mind them so much. It's just, huntsmans are just so quick and they're jumpy. Shout out to everyone else that isn't from Australia that doesn't like spiders. Look, it's not looking too bad. They're the roots there. So yeah. There was a spider on that pot. Get out of here. Off. Don't come over near me, you piece of shit. Now I got some Perlite as well as some other medium types. It's a very dry mix, but that's okay. I'll mix it up with some castings. Now I'm not really sure how to do this. I feel like I could put the cage in first, right? And then I might be able to feed the plant through here. Cool, that's good so far. And let's just see, I might even be able to wrap this around. Okay, so that's been held up there. Let's get here, let's get there. This one was always going to be a shit of a project. But hey, honestly, it's not looking too bad. Back in this pot, and I just want to backfill it with some of this medium. Give everything a shimmy shake. This Pink Princess is a bit cleaner, a bit clearer. It's got a lot more great medium. The pot isn't completely full, it's only half full, but we are going to give it a good drenching with some worm tea. Stay tuned if you want to see what happens with this big bad boy. I feel like it's going to do quite well because some of these leaves up the top here are getting pretty amazing. I will see you real soon. Bye bye. Okay, so it looked pretty incredible when I first got it. It was very pretty, very pink, very healthy. A lot of really big leaves like that one right there. And it lived in a very nature-friendly space. So anyway, what I've done here is I've put just a bunch of Glad wrap around both of those cuttings. The idea here is hoping that the moisture from the moss is going to create some humidity in here, and that humidity is going to promote some root growth or some aerial root growth, which is going to keep this plant nice and healthy, hopefully anyway. And just to water the base, I have a whole bunch of worm tea in here, so I'm just going to pour the concentrate in directly. Now I'm going to get myself set up so we can check out this plant over here. But in the meantime, I'm going to roll an update, which happened a few months later because people were so curious about the plant and how well it was going. So I gave a little bit of an update. What I love about this footage is I had a bit of a tummy about me. I think I was living life well. But I also did some air layering, which you'll see up here. And I'm going to address that when we come back. But check out this footage. I'll see you in a sec. I've been asked a lot about some updates for the Pink Princess. Look, it's going great. It's survived the repotting. We have some new growth. We have some new growth around the back, like that one just there. We even have some aerial roots, which is a great sign. We've got some aerial roots kicking off in other places as well, which is something that I never saw before. So that's good. I've had a few little drop-off things, that's okay. There's just been a couple of those, which is expected because they're older leaves and they might not have survived the repotting. Well, they didn't survive the repotting. It's going well. I was a bit scared of root rot, but there doesn't really seem to be much sign of root rot, so that's okay. It's quite light to pick up, so we could probably give this one a bit of a whattering right now. The only thing I could say is that there's just a few little brown spots like that are coming up. I'm not 100% sure why that's happening. Maybe I can do some research. We're going to do a little bit of a project with it though. We're going to try some air layering. So I'm going to drag it over near the table. Come on. Let's have a look at some of these aerial roots. There's one right there. This is right near the top of the cutting with this new leaf coming through. There's even some over here. I'm just going to use some of these. Do this old method that I've seen so many people use when doing air layering. Okay, cool. So we've got a little hole there. We've got a little split, and hopefully we're going to be able to get it all together. I guess all I'd have to do now is just tape up that crease. I wonder if I've got tape. Okay, that was pretty easy. There's a little bit of a gap down the bottom, but that's all right. It's, you know, we're going to call that drainage. Okay. And then I'm just going to give it a bit of a comfortable squish down. And then, all right, that's us done with the air layering. Cool. All right, I think it's going to be good here. in this particular area, lots more shade, but still really good view of the sky. So it's gonna be healthy. Fingers crossed, thanks for the update request. I need to go and eat some food. See you, legends. So the air layering cups, there's one just up here. They worked well, but they were a bit difficult to maintain. We'll come to that in a second, but before we move on, there's something that I really want to check out. You'll see there's a lot of little baby growth. A lot of potential down the bottom here with this plant. But here's the thing, I don't really water it all that often, but then this grow cage is a little bit unstable. I'm really curious to see what's going on down here in the soil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this stick. It's very, very dry. This is basically the chopstick method. We shove the chopstick all the way down the bottom. So it's still quite damp down there. Got a discolorated stick. So I don't want to load it up with too much moisture, but at the same time, I've got like a good 5 or 6 inches of space at the top here, and I kind of just want to dust it down with a little bit of potting mix because there's some dead leaves on top here, and I know that the soil on top is actually pretty dry. The pot is a little bit light, but I remember putting all of this in and the soil was bark castings perlite. So I'm going to top it up just the tiniest little bit with some potting mix. There we go, put that in there. I'm getting rained on by these air layer pots, but that's all right. Cool, I think that's gonna do. But while we're here, let's get rid of these air layering pods. Now again, I'm gonna get myself ready. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna show you the most recent update, which is what happened in this space a few months ago. And we'll see how the plant's going. It did take a bit of a hit. Definitely been worse for wear since. I think I filmed that at the start of winter, and now we're deep in spring, and yeah, there's definitely been some changes. Watch this. I'll see you in a sec when you get back. I'll be ready to get rid of these little cups. Okay, more updates. So clearly the Pink Princess isn't doing incredibly incredible. Let's go through it. Things up the top here are going really great. Okay, so there's a lot of really good growth up here. This leaf, not doing incredibly well. Real big shame because this one was all pink except down here. So we've got some brown spots happening over there. It's kind of a bit of a common occurrence with this plant at the moment. I think it's just pretty cold. Even though this has been inside, it's still pretty cold. It's not all over because that one is in. I mean, that's gonna brown and die off eventually. That's okay. But all of this up here is looking pretty healthy. Also, if we're getting closer, you see a whole bunch of aerial roots kicking off here, and that's doing really well. And then I've also just noticed that this is a flower that we're gonna chop. But we've got all this new growth coming through, and it looks great, looks healthy. Same with this side over here, some new growth. It's all looking pretty healthy. So a lot of the stuff in the middle here dropped off. There were leaves here, leaves over here. They just dropped off. You know, there's not really much you can do about it. So I think it got hit by the cold and then it freaked out a little bit. We've still got leaves down here. We've still got big leaves down here. There's still a whole bunch of really, really good growth happening. Even down here, there's some really, really good stuff, but it's all pretty minimal. And there's a lot of new growth. I don't know if you can see it down here, but there really is a lot of new growth kicking off down the bottom. I'm not trying to mess with it. I'm just leaving it alone to let it do its thing. But down here, there's a lot of really good growth. Let's talk about air layering. We do have some great root growth, like there's a root there kicking out the top. There's some other roots over here. There's another root just there that's going straight into the pot. And I'm not sure if you see right there, there's a tiny little root that's kicking out. So the air layering is definitely working. Here's another Pink Princess on a moss pole. And I've had a lot of people talking to me about this one back here, asking me for tips on how to get it this big. I bought it secondhand off someone that had been growing it for years. So I never got it to this size. This one, however, I've been working on this one for maybe the last year, year and a half. Anyway, that's my update for the Pink Princess. Thanks so much. You guys are legends. I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, so not a fantastic outcome, especially when we've only got a couple of leaves all the way up there. Whoop, I'm moving my stand around a lot. And a lot of bare stems down here. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's some new growth kicking off right here and some new growth kicking off here. I'll grab the phone, I'll show you. Just there. Can you see it? just there. So there's some new growth, and then down here, there's some new growth as well. There's a tiny little thing over here, just wanting to push through. See that there? Just wants to push through. And look, we've even got some aerial roots over here. So there's still some growth going on. But of course, we're going to do something about this one here with some new growth kicking on down the bottom. And there's some growth in there and growth in there. Might just be root growth, but that's all right. We can still do something with it. Let's get rid of this one first. Now these were a great idea when I did them. Let's let all of that come out. And wow, quite literally no root growth. That's hilarious. Oh well, I thought that one was going to be much better. Look, I'm not surprised. It wasn't very wet. Oh, there's another little growth point down there. You need to have some moisture on some of these nodes, but that's okay. What I think I'm going to do is just try again with one of these air layering pods. Now these air layering pods, I used these on neon pothos and they worked a treat. They did really well with those. So we're just going to try it on these, and I think propagating in the same place could yield some results. So let me throw this on here. Simple as that. I might need to pull this one up here, over here to the grow cage, just for some extra stability. I've actually got a lot, there's a few grow points. I've missed out on a few. So there's one up there, one there, there's one coming through there. I don't think much is happening over here. So we might try and propagate this one as well. Again, prop ball left over from the neon pothos. If you haven't seen that, I'd suggest going to social media and checking out that post, although it might not be up just yet. How are we gonna do this? All right, now we're gonna get rid of this one. Well, at least I didn't make a mess. And hey, great news, there's a whole bunch of roots. Coming close, we'll have a look. So look at all these roots from the air layer. Stop moving. So that's going really well. And I've just noticed there's a tiny little bump around here. Little bit of growth you can see just on my thumb. But we're gonna try and capitalize on this particular cutting. But anyway, I've got a new prop ball and I have some sphagnum moss that's been moistened down. And then I'm gonna wrap this around, hopefully getting all of those roots in. There we go, great. Now here's the thing. I actually think we can replant this one up top. So this one all the way up here, I reckon we can replant that. I'm actually keen to chop it. Where are my skizzers? First I'm gonna get it off let's take all this off. Great, always need Velcro. And then we'll do one of these. We'll check that out in a sec. Let's come back down and zoom out. Cool, we've got 3 prop balls. A white one, a green one, and a black one. And they're all up toward the top of the plant, which means any growth that's gonna happen up here, we'll be able to capitalize on more growth that happens down here when new growth comes through. And I would really like to be able to do that. Also, I have some worm tea and I'm just gonna feed it directly, concentrated, into our pot, just to give our soil a little bit of rehydration and our plant a little bit of nutrients. You can water this down, but you don't have to. Oh, that's nice. It's not too heavy, it's not too light. I think that's gonna be great. Let's take a look at this cutting, shall we? My head's cut off a little bit, but that's fine. We're here for the plants, not for me. All right, let's take this off. Let's take these fantastically made air layering cups off and see what we've worked with. Cool. All right, look, I've seen worse root development, and we've even got a couple of babies there. This one over here and this one down here. I'm gonna pot it up. We're gonna pot this and we're hopefully gonna get a new plant with some new growth. How cool is that? Look at that. Great drainage, fantastic. Nothing wrong with that as a starter. And I've got a whole bunch of really great aeroid mix over here. Bark, castings, perlite, charcoal. So I'm gonna go 50-50. A little bit of this stuff. And you know what I found? A bunch of tree fern fiber from a moss pole that I was putting together, which was the neon moss pole. The pothos, the neon pothos moss pole. So I'm gonna put that in there. Similar to sphagnum moss. I'm curious to see how it goes with soil. So there's not a whole bunch of soil in here, just a little bit. A lot of aerated mix down the bottom, and then I'm just going to give it all a bit of a love tap for a while. I don't want to be too aggressive because I know that there's a little baby growth cutting down there that wants to grow. So I'm going to leave it and hopefully it pokes its head very soon. But there are some really good roots down in there. And there's a propagation of a pink princess that's hopefully going to kick off and give us some good time, fun time. I actually could have, I'm realizing now I could have done 2 cuttings with this one, but I'm happy with just 1. Cool. All right, I think that's me. So we've got our tiny little cutting. We also have the mother plant pink princess with a few air layer props, and we've just fixed up a little bit of the soil situation down here. So I'd really like this thing to kick off, and we've got some brand new growth points which hopefully will come in V soon. Stick around for that. And then we have this moss pole bad boy that's currently dripping worm tea everywhere. So I was just watering it. Is it going to drip? There we go. So I'm just going to leave this out, let it drain out, and hopefully that glad wrap wrapped around those stems is going to promote some aerial root growth. And yeah, the end. Check back for updates. Thanks for checking in. Give me a like and a sub and all the good things. And I'll see you on Patreon or some of the other social media platforms. You guys are legends. Thanks so much. See ya.